This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Gutter. I've been welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy for today, October the 7th. And word to the wise, there is no on this day because I couldn't find anything interesting for October 7th. So, regardless, we're going to be talking about a hockey player today. Not just any hockey player, one of the most gentlemanly players in NHL history. Now, I know that he's dead, obviously, but I didn't want to go through a whole day of having no videos or, well, me having to do a special video. But yeah, I feel this guy deserved to be in. I mean, after all, his hockey career was amazing and all that. And what he did after hockey was huge. He played for the Ottawa Senators and New York Rangers and the Vancouver Maroons in the PCHA. He later became coach and GM of the New York Rangers. That's right. His name is Frank BOucher. So Frank BOucher was born in Ottawa in 1901. He was one of four brothers who played in the NHL. His brother Georges Boucher played for the Ottawa dynasty of the 1920s, winning 4 cups. Bobby and Billy Boucher also played in the NHL. I think Billy Boucher had some kind of incident with him. I remember his name for some reason. Oh yeah, he was one of the players who won the 1924 Stanley Cup with the Habs. Anyway, Frank's nephew was the head coach of Canada's 1948 Olympic gold medal hockey team. So Frank inherited a lot of his athletic ability from his father Tom, who would play for things. So Frank Boucher actually, after World War I, joined the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and moved west. So while working with the Mounties in Lethbridge, he played for the hockey team. After a year in Banff, he decided to return home to play for Ottawa in the 1922 NHL season, where he would be reunited with Georges Boucher. Because he played senior hockey out west, his playing rights belonged to the PCHA, and he was allowed to play in Ottawa on the condition he was supposed to go back to Vancouver. Unfortunately, though, there would be problems abound. So anyway. Yeah, so anyway. So Boucher would play for Ottawa, but they lost the NHL title to the Toronto St. Pats. Boucher would play for Vancouver until 1926 when the PCHA got merged with the NHL because the PCHA was not a major league anymore. All that. So the Western League dissolved. His rights were sold to Boston. But he never played for Boston, as Conn Smythe, who was at that time part of the Rangers Council, paid the Bruins $1,500 for Boucher. Not really chump change back in 1926. That's amazing. On the advice of Bill Cook, who wanted him on the Rangers. So Boucher was one of the original New York Rangers. And he would play for the Rangers from 1926 to 1938. He was part of the famous bread line with the brothers Cook, Bill and Bun Cook. And together they helped the Rangers win the Stanley Cup in 1928 and 1933 and making the finals in 1932. So 2 Stanley Cups and a final and a losing effort. That's not bad. He was not only a brilliant forward, he was one of the game's classiest. When Lady Byng, who was wife of the Governor General of Canada at that time, decided to award a trophy for the most gentlemanly player, Boucher ended up winning that trophy 7 times out of 8. He won the original trophy outright, and then Lady Byng would have to donate another trophy to the NHL. So obviously the Lady Byng trophy that you see before you, if you're an NHL fan, is not the same one as the one that was given to Frank Boucher. The Rangers would hire him to coach the minor league team as his apprenticeship to coaching the Rangers. And then Lester Patrick decided to retire from being head coach of the Rangers in 1939. Guess who got it? Frank Boucher. And guess what Frank did in his first season as coach? He led the Rangers to the Stanley Cup in 1940 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. In fact, that was the last time the Rangers won the Stanley Cup until 1994. And the funny thing is, that 94 Stanley Cup also was the Stanley Cup that the Rangers won without a BOucher being involved, because Frank was there for the two previous Stanley Cup championships for the Rangers in 28-33 and then, of course, 1940. So, yeah, so he was part of the bread line, the Depression and all that. He was pretty good. The Rangers would lose in the playoffs in 42 to the Leafs, who then won the Stanley Cup. But the Rangers would have problems because they were victims of the military draft of World War II and went to a steep decline. Frank BOucher had to play for them in the 1944 season because they lost too many players. So he played 15 games in which he got 14 points. Not bad. He was the oldest position player in the NHL at age 42. That record would be broken by Doug Harvey in 1968. But anyway, yeah, that Ranger squad of 43-44 was terrible. They ended up winning 6 games out of 50. Amazingly stupid. Not good, huh? In fact, BOucher, one of the biggest things to do with rules in hockey was that they introduced the center red line to the hockey rink to open up the game and allow the defending team to pass the puck out of their zone and counterattack quicker. Frank would be the GM of the Rangers, getting the Rangers to the playoffs in a major trade to get Buddy O'Connor and Frank Eddles. He stepped down from coaching to be the GM and hired Lynn Patrick to coach the Rangers. Lynn almost got the Rangers Stanley Cup in 1950, although they lost Game 7 in double overtime to Pipa Bandel's goal. The Rangers were an aging team. Lynn Patrick resigned to go to Boston, and nobody could get the Rangers into the playoffs. BOucher was actually thought about being replaced, but the owner said he held off. Now, BOucher was the first coach to use 2 goalies regularly in 1946. He would alternate Charlie Rayner and Sugar Jim Henry every game, and even every 4 to 6 minutes. Kind of weird, don't you think? In a system that used 1 goalie, and then the second goalie would be some kind of house goalie, if you will. That was weird. Charlie Rayner was a pretty good goalie for the Rangers. Sugar Jim Henry, not so much. He would be memorable for being the Boston goalie who gave up Maurice Rocket Richard's groggy third period winner in 1952. Frank had to go back to behind the bench for 54. And couldn't get the Rangers in the playoffs, so he basically got Mouse Patrick to coach the team. The Rangers could not do so well and missed the playoffs time after time. Basically, Frank was resigning as GM. And he said that he would resign rather than be fired. So he ended his resignation. He typed his resignation and ended his 29-year association with the Rangers. He was inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1958, and in 1998 he was named number 61 on the Hockey List's greatest 100 players. His uniform number 7 hangs in the rafters, although it is for Rod Gilbert, not for Frank BOucher. I just wish that they could share the number. The number 12 is shared in Montreal by Yvon Cournoyer and Dickie Moore, so why can't the Rangers do that? BOucher was commissioner of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League for 7 years. They wanted to try to get a trophy better than the Memorial Cup, but that failed miserably. BOucher would die of cancer in 1977 at the age of 76. And in the book 100 Ranger Greats, he was named number 9 of the all-time of the 901 Rangers who had played in the first 82 seasons. So, of course, his stats are a little off-giving because, remember, this is the 1930s. That his majority of time playing. So, the numbers are not going to look so good. Like, he scored 423 points in 557 games in the regular season, 16 playoff goals. His coaching record, not so bad. He got them to 4 playoff spots and won the Stanley Cup in his first year, but then, they floundered. They sucked in 42 when they lost in the semis to the Toronto Maple Leafs and could have went to the Stanley Cup playoffs and maybe win their second cup in 3 years. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. He got the 48 Rangers to the semifinals. Well, 4 out of 6 teams qualified, but he ended up 181, 263, and 83 for a 445 winning percentage. And I think maybe the 3rd best coach in Rangers history. I don't know. how they rank them. You know, Boucher and Underground will probably tell me a lot of things about Frank Boucher that I don't know about. And, I'll listen intently because that's the way I am. I should be listening intently to those guys. They know what they're doing. They've been Ranger fans longer than me. So why shouldn't I listen to them? So yeah, Frank Boucher was an icon for the New York Rangers in the 1930s. And, at a time that the world had a big depression, he was trying to get hockey fans out of the doldrums. And it worked, in a sense. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.